Hello and welcome to another edition of WTF Just Happened Today, your essential guide to making the news make sense. It's Monday, March 2nd, 2026, and I'm Matt Kieser. Today's edition was written and edited by me, and this audio version was narrated using text-to-speech and a clone of my voice. Same stories, just rewritten for audio. Now, here's what just happened today. First up, Trump declined to rule out sending U.S. ground troops into Iran if they were necessary, saying, whatever it takes, and adding, I don't have the yips with respect to boots on the ground. He said the U.S. projected 4 to 5 weeks for Operation Epic Fury, but also said it would run as long as necessary, and that the military could go far longer than that. Trump said the operation's goals were destroying Iran's missile capability, annihilating its navy, blocking a nuclear weapon, and stopping Tehran from arming and directing proxy forces. Secretary of State Marco Rubio added that the hardest hits are yet to come. The Pentagon said at least 6 U.S. service members had been killed in Iranian strikes, and 3 F-15E jets were downed by Kuwaiti air defenses in an apparent friendly fire incident. Trump said, "We expect casualties with something like this," and added, "There will likely be more before it ends," and that's the way it is. Next, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth rejected the idea of an endless war in Iran. This is not Iraq. This is not endless, he said, while insisting it is not a so-called regime change war, but the regime sure did change. On troops on the ground, Hegseth said, no, but we're not going to go into the exercise of what we will or will not do, later calling it foolishness to publicly set limits. Joint Chiefs Chair General Dan Kane said the operation is not a single overnight operation, warned the U.S. expects to take additional losses, and said more troops and fighter jets are heading to the region to build total combat capacity and total combat power. Kane said some of the work ahead will be difficult and gritty, adding, 4 weeks, 2 weeks, 6 weeks, it could move up, it could move back. Meanwhile, the Pentagon acknowledged in closed-door briefings with congressional staff that there was no intelligence suggesting Iran was preparing to launch a preemptive strike against U.S. interests, contradicting Trump's claim that the U.S. was very nearly under threat from Iran. Officials instead described a broader, ongoing threat from Iran's ballistic missiles and proxy forces in the region, even as the Trump administration publicly claimed an imminent threat to justify the strikes. In other news, a federal appeals court rejected the Trump administration's effort to delay litigation over potential tariff refunds. After the Supreme Court ruled last month that Trump's worldwide tariffs were illegal, the Justice Department asked for at least a 90-day pause. But the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit declined and sent the case back to the U.S. Court of International Trade in New York to sort out the refund process. The government collected more than $130 billion from the tariffs, and could face refunds totaling as much as $175 billion. Also, the Justice Department dropped its defense of Trump's executive orders sanctioning 4 law firms with ties to Democrats. Trial judges blocked the sanctions against Jenner & Block, Wilmer Cutler Pickering Hale & Dorr, Perkins Coie, and Sussman Godfrey as unconstitutional. Trump's orders would have stripped security clearances, restricted access to federal buildings, and pushed agencies to cut off contracts involving the firms and their clients. Finally, Trump allies continued to press him to declare a national emergency and impose federal election rules without Congress, as the SAVE Act's voter ID and proof-of-citizenship mandates stalled in the Senate. Activists circulated draft executive order language that would use emergency authority to justify tighter federal control over voting, including limits on mail ballots and voting machines. Senator Rick Scott said that if he has the power to require citizenship to register and show ID to vote, he ought to do it, while Trump said he's never heard about the draft order and denied planning an emergency declaration. And 2 new polls captured the public mood. In one, 34% approved of the U.S. attacks on Iran, 44% disapproved, and 22% were unsure. In another, 60% said they don't trust Trump to make the right decisions on U.S. use of force. 62% said he should get congressional approval for any further action in Iran, and only 12% supported sending U.S. ground troops into Iran. That's all for now. You can find the full edition and all the cited sources at WTFJHT.com. And if you have a minute, help me improve this audio edition. WTFJHT.com/feedback. Thanks for listening. I'm Matt Kieser, and I'm glad you're here.